welcome. Oh, hi over there. Welcome to Hometown Conversations. I'm Jen DeLucia. I'm host of Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. This is Sharon St. Clair.
And I'm with Howard Hanna Services. Welcome.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you guys here. So as hosts, we want to educate, enlighten, empower the viewers by featuring guests who are making an impact in our communities. Plus, we dive into seasonal topics to keep you informed and inspired every step of the way. And we are just so excited and delighted to have our guest here today. We have Ben Bush. Ben Bush is the Vice President of Public Affairs. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate your time. So we're going to get into some questions because we really want to get to know what you do. So for those that don't know, what is Allegheny Conference?
So the Allegheny Conference is a nonprofit organization. We represent the 10-county southwestern Pennsylvania region, and really our mission is to grow the economy in southwestern Pennsylvania. So we do that through business attraction, through pushing different policies at the state level to make the state more competitive, to draw business in and help folks grow. At the end of the day, our goal is, we want to increase the economy, increase the standard of living, increase the quality of life across southwestern Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So what is your role at the Allegheny Conference?
So my role specifically, I'm Vice President of Public Affairs. So at the end of the day, I do a lot of the government interactions, right? So whether it's with our state or federal legislators or our municipal legislators. So that could range from, working with our legislators on policy issues that try to help grow southwestern Pennsylvania, such as permitting reform or energy, or simply engaging with the electeds on different projects that might be looking at areas, right? They might have a permitting problem. They might, at the end of the day, businesses need speed because at the end of the day, when they are looking to grow and looking to expand, the biggest thing is to be operating, right? And if we can't operate, we can't make money. So as businesses, that's the goal at the end of the day. Right. And having the ability to move quickly is key. So helping out with projects or on the project level or the policy level.
So true. So this region has hosted several large sporting events over the years. I mean, most recently with the U.S. Open, the NFL Draft. I mean, Pittsburgh has been booming with so many excitement here. Even more broadly, we've also hosted large conferences and events to bring people all over the country and all over the world. So while they're great for the audiences, they serve a vital role for our organization, for your organization. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just had the Pittsburgh, or the NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. It was an awesome event. It brought people from all over the country to see what Pittsburgh is and how Pittsburgh operates. We utilize not just the NFL Draft, but the U.S. Open and other events. A lot of times to host site selectors, right? So during the NFL Draft, we in Pittsburgh brought in site selectors who, at the end of the day, what a site selector does is they work with large corporations who are looking to expand or relocate, and their job is to say, this is where you should go, this is where we best think you should be looking. So when we host these events, whether it's the U.S. Open or the Draft, we have the ability to showcase what the best of the region is, right? And recently with the NFL Draft, it was great because there were a lot of projects throughout the region that we're moving forward, and the draft kind of put us on a deadline, right? We wanted to showcase Pittsburgh in the best possible light. So we were able to get awesome projects done downtown, like Market Square and Arch Landing. There were several infrastructure projects that were moving forward, and it said, hey, we're bringing the world to Pittsburgh. We want to make sure we showcase the best of it. So we really got the opportunity to do that with all the hard work that was put in the investment that went into downtown Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So if I'm understanding you, that's taking an interesting turn for a quick second. So when we had the NFL Draft and we saw just the jewel of so many Pittsburgh projects come alive, I didn't know who was all involved in bringing that to life, but what you're saying is that the Allegheny Conference was involved in some of these projects to help with the NFL Draft?
So, we were involved with a bunch of the infrastructure projects and the conversion projects that were going on downtown. I don't know if you heard about the $600 million that was invested into downtown Pittsburgh, but that was from the public and the private sector. And really, the draft was great because it put us all on a timeline, and some of the different projects that were going on were not just our organization, but several of the organizations that are trying to grow the region, like Visit Pittsburgh and the Tech Council and others all hosted events, because what a better time to showcase the region than when you have the world here.
I know. How long did it take you guys to get this all organized? Because I can only imagine.
Oh, I mean, the NFL was the big driver of it, right? So, but it's several months, right?
Yes.
Several months of planning and work and development. I mean, one of the best things for businesses from throughout the region was the opportunity to be a vendor specifically for the NFL draft. And a lot of, so I used to work in Lawrence County as the economic development director. Several companies, from the folks who did the fireworks to caterers, all came out of northern parts of the region. So this didn't just affect the city of Pittsburgh, it affected the entire Pittsburgh region.
Right.
So with that said, as I'm listening to you talk about the conference and the initiatives, were you doing different events that you hosted companies that were coming in and potentially looking at investing in Pittsburgh? Were you part of that host group?
So we hosted
the on-site selection.
Yeah, we hosted the site selection piece. We also hosted a couple of different events where we'd bring clients in to meet with business leaders from throughout the region. We did a CEO roundtable where we had several of the larger CEOs come in and be able to talk directly from CEO to CEO. This is why we are here in Pittsburgh. This is why we've invested in Pittsburgh, and this is why we welcome you to do the same. We hosted other events where we were able to directly engage potential prospects with our local elected leaders, our state elected leaders. The governor came out. We were able to connect business and industry with the governor, so they really feel like Pittsburgh's an open place to do business. People want us here. So
what was the reception when you did this CEO roundtable? Because I find that fascinating that everyone came together and said it's just basically join the Pittsburgh family of businesses. How was that received, and what was the outcome of that?
Oh, I think the CEOs that were here from outside were very appreciative, right? Because typically when they go to areas, they're meeting with economic development folks, but they don't necessarily get to hear directly from the other CEOs, other businesses, to really understand. Is what we're saying accurate? Are these do they have the workforce? Are the incentives in place? Do they have the real estate that we can really grow what we're trying to do? And workforce is such a big thing for companies when they are looking to relocate, right? Talent is key. We have great institutions like University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, and so for them to directly be able to engage and understand that they can do the same thing that these other companies have done in the region was a huge success.
Wow, I'm learning so much.
So when they came to Pittsburgh and we had the CEO roundtable, what was some of the feedback of the CEOs about our region? Did they give you any insights as to, obviously they told what they were looking for, but was there something about Pittsburgh that stood out to them?
So as far as the CEOs speaking to the other companies, one of the biggest things, why the Pittsburgh region? Yeah. There's a lot of it's characterized as stickiness here, right? Like when people we have been losing some population over the years, but the folks that we do have here, the workforce is well trained. We have an excellent, well trained workforce. Yes. Because we have great educational institutions, because our cost of living is a little bit lower than metros that are like sized. Once people are here, they're staying here, they're raising families here. And they are, companies are able to depend on the constant folks who get into it in employment and grow and stay with the company.
Right, because it's clean here, it's safe here. We just have so many wonderful aspects about our city.
No, absolutely.
And when somebody comes in that hasn't been here, then they're like, whoa, wow.
Oh, it's funny you say that, because I was at one of the events, I was talking to one of the CEOs who's already here, and he was talking about having a conversation with a CEO who had come in from outside of the region and said, I've never been to Pittsburgh. I'm really impressed. And he's like, well, I wouldn't live here if I couldn't back this. If I couldn't put myself behind it. I love this city, and that's why I'm here. So I think just getting out there and being able to showcase what the region has to offer, and with a lot of our board members who are CEOs of these companies, that having the ability to tell folks why Pittsburgh is a great opportunity.
Yes.
As someone who does a lot of relocation, and I bring a lot of people into the region, it's really about assimilating them into our community. It's not just the job, it's about, not only where are they going to live, but what kind of life do they see themselves envisioning, because we have so much to offer in our region. When companies are here and you're working with them, do they find that they're able to have a very low attrition rate, that they have really high retention of staffing whenever they move here and they make that investment into their employees and staff?
So it all depends on the company,
Okay.
because it all depends on the industry, right? When you
Okay.
look at the Pittsburgh region, we have what we call our key cluster industries that we're trying to grow, right? So it's advanced manufacturing, AI, energy, robotics, and life sciences.
Right.
And naturally, the skill sets of this region are kind of predisposed to those industries. So when you look at advanced manufacturing, and when we're trying to work with companies to try to get them to move here, we have a very skilled workforce of machinists and welders and all of the necessary positions in a manufacturing, right? Pittsburgh, we've got Carnegie Mellon with robotics and AI and technology, so we are pumping out new graduates all of the
Yes,
time that can service these companies, right? And it's about connecting the companies with the talent and keeping them here.
Right, because we were known as the steel town,
Yep.
For so many years, growing up, especially my generation and Sharon's. But, now it's like we're known for our sports. We're known for our, our theater. There's so many things, our restaurants, that we are really known for now.
And eds and meds, technology,
Absolutely.
Yes, our medicine.
energy.
Yeah.
So with that said, do you in the Allegheny Conference, like when the Steelers went abroad to Dublin, do you get involved in basically reaching out that you're actually leaving the borders to go to them to basically entice them here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done, not only do we do that, but we also host delegations from other countries. So recently we've hosted delegations from Japan, Ireland, and Switzerland. There are several areas from throughout the world that we are hosting these delegations, which will be a group of government officials from the country, but also their business folks who may be looking, and we oftentimes get the opportunity to showcase our eds and meds, right? That's specifically important in the technology world, and we have the opportunity to discuss when they are looking to relocate, or maybe they're looking for their first U.S. location. So recently we worked with a company that was looking to expand in the U.S. It'll be their first location.
Right.
Had the opportunity to connect them with the mayor, with folks at Carnegie Mellon and Pittsburgh, and talk about the research and the workforce. And oftentimes that leads to building those relationships and being able to get them on the ground and start doing tours and be like, hey, could you imagine your location here at this particular site? And then it continues to build, and then we get the state involved on the incentive side, permitting and all of these things, and eventually you work a project through until you land it and you've got a couple hundred new jobs, right? So these relationships and these opportunities to get outside of the area to pull people into Pittsburgh are extremely important.
That's a process.
Yeah.
It really is.
So the priorities for the companies are basically knowing that they're going to be able to have the labor force to service whatever their business is. What are 2 or 3 other primary important issues that they're looking at? Would it be
real estate is huge, right? So one of the things that, if you are listening throughout the region, we often say we lose a lot of projects to our neighbor in Ohio, right? Because Ohio is flat, right?
Yes.
And in Pennsylvania, we can't help it that a glacier came through here thousands of years
We got
ago,
hills.
and
We had the beauty
made
of
it
hills.
difficult,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Yes.
So, but real estate's important. So, working on policies such as the PA Sites program, which is a program at the state level, a grant program to help developers get their sites to be pad ready. That's some of the stuff that we do, and making sure that we work with developers on understanding, what size buildings need to are most, being sought after at the time in the market. So real estate and buildings are huge. Speed's another one, right? At the end of the day, we are looking to push permitting reform constantly because the ability of a company to come in and move quickly means that they can operate sooner. And, so real estate, speed, workforce, and supply chain, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a company that makes things, it's a whole lot easier to make those things when the components that go into it, I can readily source them, right? So those would be some of the other big priorities.
So, in addition to the local colleges, the region has strong apprenticeship and training programs in the trades. Are they able to? Are you finding that there's a need for that with companies that are looking? It's not just, for the university system, but it is the qualified trades. Do you find a demand for that?
Absolutely. I think that over probably the last 2 decades, the demand for trades has significantly increased.
Yes.
And it's not just for the companies. It's not just your welders, your machinists in manufacturing, but it's also to build these projects, right? A lot of times we're seeing, we've been a part of projects like Mitsubishi Electric Power Products up in Beaver County, Hitachi Energy in Westmoreland, several other different manufacturing projects. EOS, which builds grid scale battery in Allegheny County, and at the end of the day, these buildings and these factories have to be built, right? So it's carpenters, it's carpenters and electricians, and all of those skills to go into building these things, so that we can have the assets in the region for the companies.
That's so true. Yeah. The apprenticeship program, did that just start recently, or is that something?
I think it's something that the state has really pushed over the last several years, whether it's be through our the trades unions apprenticeships that they have, or pre-apprenticeship programs that are offered at high schools and community colleges. But this, there is a plethora of different programs throughout the region, and I think they're all necessarily important, but not only are the ones that are there important, we have to continue to grow that, because there is, if you on the horizon, if you look at the growth of the region and some of the large projects, we need to make sure that we're continuing to train people to work on these projects, because several of them are going to take 5 to 7 years. We have some energy projects up in Indiana County with the redevelopment of the Homer City Power Plant. We have some things moving in Beaver County at the Frontier site. They're going to be developing multiple power plants throughout the region, and these take skilled trades.
Right.
So if you put skilled trades on these projects, they take 5 to 7 years. We need them for the other projects.
Right, you got to disperse everybody.
Absolutely. So continuing to build up the trades workforce is a must.
Yes.
To continue to grow our region and our economy.
Do you find a lot of cooperation at the state level with the permitting, and to be able to work collaboratively with local and regional organizations and government to bring, to make it an enticement for corporations to come? To your point, because of the way the state is, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh is sitting on the western side, so literally Ohio's at our door versus the eastern side of the state, our sister Philadelphia. How do you find that we can be more competitive? What can we do to basically, not level out, but level up?
So I think speed is probably the number one, right? And continuing. I want to go back and answer one of the first questions. How has the state been? I think the state over the last few years has been fantastic, right? The governor and the legislature worked together to pass some significant permitting reforms in the last budget, and the governor and the administration have developed the SPEED program, which has significantly reduced times to get permitting and to start building projects, and with this fast track program, you've seen projects that maybe previously would have taken 2 years just to be able to get the go-ahead to build, to get the permitting to do it in 6 months, right? So those are definitely big steps. But at the end of the day, our neighboring states continue to get better too. So we have to constantly be evolving and make sure that we can meet the needs of industry. And you said if there were one thing that I would focus on for the economy in Western PA, what would it be? It would be energy. We have our natural resources that we have here. The second largest gas producer in the country, right?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
And if you look at economies that produce energy, energy is the top, right?
Yes.
And we have that's just the start, right? So we have we have the ability to produce energy, but then we also have the downstream manufacturing that goes along with that energy all throughout the region, right? So continuing to grab onto the energy industry and show them that Pennsylvania Energy is what built Pennsylvania Steel, and that's what's going to build the next generation of the economy moving forward. Whether that's AI and AI data centers, software, energy, life sciences, robotics. It's all going to build off of each other. So we have to continue to utilize our natural resources and the energy to make sure that we are moving our economy forward and making sure that we are developing policies that allow us to do that are critical.
It was interesting. I recently relocated some people, and they were looking they looked literally all over the country, and they said, we can go anywhere, we're flexible. And they selected Pittsburgh. And one of the reasons that they said that they selected the region was not only because of the industries that we have and the quality of life and the proximity and just the amenities that we offer as a city that's very livable and affordable. At the same time, they were looking at the eds and the meds and the universities. But they also said the natural resources. And as we hear more and more about data centers, it came up about our water. So, not only do we have the education, but we also have a built-in water supply that has been, serving us very well. Does that ever come up in the conversations that you're seeing?
That comes up in the conversations, not just for data centers.
Okay.
It comes up in the conversations for all large projects.
Okay.
Right? Because for large projects, they need energy.
Yes.
Right? We produce energy, but we also have, people don't understand how lucky we are in Pennsylvania to have the water supply in the system that we do have. We have the ability to provide so much excess to be able to grow industry and business while still being able to service our residents and constituencies.
And not depleting our residents.
So it is, we are very blessed for that.
Oh, wow. I just learned that.
And it's really coming to the forefront in the conversations today.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Even if you look back several years, other states that don't have the resources, we're trying to figure out how we can help service them, right?
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, that's really nice.
And even, there were industries that were, selling what they would consider their wastewater to other areas so that they could clean it, right? But Pennsylvania, we don't have to worry about that. We have such an abundance of water here that, that resource can go much further into growing our economy and helping to be able to sustain us.
Yes, wow, I'm learning so much. I didn't realize we had all these valuable resources just right here in Pennsylvania.
Yep, absolutely, right here in Pennsylvania, not just right here in Pennsylvania, right here in the Pittsburgh region.
Yeah, right here in the Pittsburgh region, yeah.
When you look at our region, what is for you, just in your role, because you've served in Lawrence County and now you're with the Allegheny Conference, and you really have a helicopter view of life and business in Pennsylvania, and then specifically our region. What has been, for you, the most exciting opportunity and what have you enjoyed the most, I'd say? So it's twofold. What has been, for you, what have you really enjoyed the most? Because you have such a great background coming from the military, then all the success that you had, and then you brought, with Lawrence County, and then you brought that here. What do you find most exciting in your job and your ability to make an impact? Because I can see you're a high impact person.
So the most exciting thing for me is watching a project not just come to completion. That's extremely exciting, but watching it, a blank piece of land start as an empty canvas, and then to be able to have a company develop a 300,000 square foot facility or a 1 million square foot facility, and I know that generations of people are going to live and work at this company and grow their families, right? That's probably the most exciting thing for me. And apologize. The second one was about what do I see as the best opportunity?
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, I think you know, the best opportunity for the region is to focus on those cluster areas that I mentioned earlier: advanced manufacturing, energy, life sciences, AI and robotics. I think that if we, you know, I look at economic development as an ecosystem, right? It's not just the private sector, it's not just the public sector infrastructure, it's not just making sure that we have the talent, but it's everything, right? And it comes down to, you know, as the smallest thing, which is actually a large thing right now, is housing, right? Making sure that we have, you know, the housing that next generation is looking for, so that we can keep them in the region. But I think that focusing on those industries, focusing on our young people and giving them the opportunity to be able to live and stay here, I think those are our greatest opportunities for the future.
Creating jobs, and you know, look at the airport. You know, that was, I don't know if they just were they doing the airport because of the draft, or were they expanding it?
I think it just kind of aligned together around the same time in the completion, right? It really is not just is it easier to get in and out of the airport. It was the development of a gateway to the community, right? For folks coming in from outside of Pittsburgh, it's gorgeous, right? Having the opportunity to come in and have that be the first impression for the region is
a great first impression.
Absolutely beautiful. Yes. Oh my gosh, this was so wonderful. I feel like the time has gone so fast.
It just went so quickly.
I know. Is there any last questions?
Well, thank you
Sharon,
guys. I appreciate it.
No, I mean, I know we're winding down. We're just so appreciative of you taking the time and sharing your experience and knowledge and expertise with us.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate
Well, thank you for having us
everything you do
on.
for our city. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was so great. I feel like I'm learning so much here, and thank you for having him on. I'm so glad that we got to meet you. This was another episode of Hometown Conversations. We're so glad that you joined us.
Thank you for coming.
Happy summer. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care.
So we have to get a picture.
Absolutely.
You did great.
One